first find out about Idle No More?
I first found out about Idle No More after, just right before the Louisville teach-in that was organized by Tanya Capo. It had Pam Palmater, Sylvia, and Janice McCocus.
What do you consider your area of strength?
My area of strength would be social media. I share information, disseminate information, critique information, and basically try to create awareness over Indigenous issues. I did probably one of the very first Idle No More videos. I used my artwork and I encouraged people to just carry a sign when we did our first Canada-wide action.
Why do you think Idle No More is important?
I think it gives us a voice, especially people who are not necessarily mainstream. The grassroots have a very real voice and presence through this movement that isn't in other movements. I think it's important because it brings out important information, and it puts a spotlight on how we're perceiving the world and how the world perceives us. I think it's more than just rallies, and it's more than just a social media presence. If we do this properly, if we do this right, and we start listening to each other, we can really make some proactive change for both the earth and get back to basics when it comes to what it means to be on this land. I'm Cree Métis, Treaty 6 territory. So I am. It's more than just being Canadian.
What have you contributed to the Idle No More movement?
Mostly my work has been behind the scenes. I've organized and participated in a number of social media campaigns. I don't necessarily start them. If anything, I just move them forward. I prefer to lift people up. I don't necessarily need to be in the front. So I'll support, I'll send people information, I'll organize information, and I'll offer critique. So that's pretty much what I've done consistently over the last 3 years.
What is your opinion on what needs to be done?
We need to break down our silos. We need to have our grassroots people working with our academics and our leadership. There still isn't enough information filtering through the silos to really effectively coordinate and organize. Effectively, we need to deconstruct some of the ways of doing and knowing and bring that forward.
If you could change one thing, what would it be?
That we would start internalizing and recognizing the strengths of our stories, the strengths of our culture, and that we won't be ashamed of them. We don't need to be afraid to be Indigenous people in our own lands. We have a voice, we have a language, we have a culture. Each one of them is unique. They're right across this country, and we don't have the right to speak for each other. You know, we need to go back to those original teachings of who we are and what it means to be a human being in relationship with the land, in relationship with Creator, and in relationship with between ourselves.
Why did you join the Idle No More movement?
For me, it was always about the legislation. Because I was involved with social media presence before Idle No More started, I recognized that this legislation would pave the way for the loss of jurisdiction that would eventually eliminate language and culture if we didn't try to stop it somehow. For me, it was always about the education aspect of it. It was always about what is the current education system socializing our children to be, and how can we counteract that. But once it's in legislation, once they have a foothold in there, they can change things using policy, procedure, reorganization, and priorities. And if it stops being a priority to the province or the school district, then it no longer exists. And we can't afford to do that anymore.